What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sideline Sports. I am Trevor, your host. Alex is with me as usual. We are talking. Oh, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Almost forgot to mention that. We are talking Warrior basketball today, okay? So the Warriors win 107-104 last night against the Pistons. They needed that win. It's just been an up and down roller coaster. The Pistons were on a 5-game winning streak, so the Warriors snapped that. The Warriors now 19 and 18, and believe it or not, as average as the Warriors have been playing, they are only 2.5 games out of the number 4 spot overall. So they are very much in play to make the playoffs, and they're in the play-in spot right now. There's a lot of basketball left to play, so even mentioning playoffs right now doesn't make a lot of sense. But what I'm saying is they have a lot of time to get right, and beating the Pistons team that got a little bit hot the last 4 or 5 games was nice. They're not the best team in the world, but they are 19 and 19, so they're right there, the same type of record the Warriors have, and they are kind of getting better. Before we jump into talking, let's just get to some of the stats. Draymond Green had 32 minutes and 7 points. Buddy Hield, 32 minutes, 19 points. He started to play a little bit better, come out of his shell in the first quarter. I don't like how cavalier he got towards the third and fourth quarter with his shots. Kind of started to miss a little bit when he was pressing. Trayce Jackson-Davis, one of my favorites, continues to have a great year. 26 minutes, 14 points is great for a center. Steph Curry had a bad night by his standards, 36 minutes, 17 points, but he did go 1 for 9, I believe, at the 3-point line. So not a great night for him, but 17 points is good by most standards anyway. Dennis Schroeder, 35 minutes, 13 points. Santos, a guy that you don't see too much on the court, brought a lot of energy. 26 minutes, 13 points, but brought a ton of energy. Looney was out there, had some meaningful minutes, 21 minutes, 8 points. Lindy Waters continues to be a guy that just keeps excelling in the Warriors, off the Warriors bench. 19 minutes, 11 points. But again, the energy, the defense he's playing, pretty good. Kyle Anderson, 9 minutes, 4 points. And that's pretty much all that's really worth mentioning. So let's get into how the Warriors are playing. Do we think this is going to continue night against the Pacers? Tonight they play the Pacers at 4 o'clock, so don't forget to watch that game. Alex, I'm not sure how you feel about that game last night. I feel like it started off great, and then they almost kind of gave the farm away. They only won 107-104, but at one point they were leading by 18 points. Going into the fourth quarter, they were up by about 18, and they gave all of that away just about. Um, so
Um,
yeah, what do you think?
One thing I want to mention, Draymond Green had 3 blocks. That's really good for a forward. Like three
Yep,
blocks is pretty amazing. One steal, but
an
like
old
he was,
forward.
you guys say 7 points. Well, I mean, like there's some forwards who do, like Tim Duncan who didn't want to be called the center, but was
Yeah,
basically a center.
yeah.
But then 3 blocks. I mean, how tall is Draymond Green? Like 6'8" or something like that? Like
I think maybe. I don't know what his
six
height.
six.
He's not. Yeah, he
He's
that's
six
what they've been
six.
giving him. Yeah, yeah.
So that's hustle. That's some Dennis Rodman type stuff, which
Yep.
is really good. T Jackson, what was his name?
Trace
Sorry, let me
Jackson
look at the
Davis.
box score. T
Yeah,
Jackson, Trace Jackson Davis, 10 rebounds, 9 rebounds for Steph Curry. Like
yeah,
that's really impressive for
yeah,
6'2".
yeah.
And 8 for Looney. I always mention this because it really bothered me back in the day. You'd look at like the Warriors and it'd be like 2 rebounds, 3 rebounds. I mean, maybe it's because they're not missing the Splash Brothers, but like other than Bogut, and Draymond having some average numbers, you didn't have like a true center. Like they don't really have a center right now.
No,
And so to
no.
see, I mean, Looney, but isn't Looney kind of listed as a power forward, sort of?
No, he's a center, but we can get around to that conversation. Actually, let's just start with that right now because you're right. Looney is a center. Trace Jackson Davis is a center. They both play great defense, but they don't have the height of other centers. So
No.
Vucevic from the Bulls is a guy that they are targeting. I would love to see them make that move because he is a true center. He's been an all-star 3 separate occasions, and he's got the height. He's got scoring ability. He can shoot the 3-point ball. He would come in and start over both of those guys most likely and make a huge impact. So to your point, we need a center with some height. That's
Yeah. I mean, you got Jokic, you got or is it Jokic? You got Giannis. You've got a lot of tall guys who are very versatile, and I just always love the Mutombos and like Shaq or like Robinson, even Duncan, who didn't want to be called a center, but it's like, come on, you're a center. I like guys who can get you like what happened to the 2010 and 2
Well,
center.
what I can tell you has
10
happened.
rebounds, two
Steph Curry
blocks.
happened. Steph Curry came into the league, and then everybody had to learn how to shoot a 3-point ball because they were like, "Oh shit, this guy's shooting from half court line, and it's not even a guess. He's just
But
making
now
it."
you got centers who can ball handle, and
It's
and so that
turning
it's
around.
yeah,
You're right.
it's like there's
Yeah,
trends. I mean,
yeah,
like remember when you had Gasol and Odom and with along with and Kobe Bryant, and it's like amazing because you look at you're like, oh, these are both guys who could average 20 and 10 and get blocks. You've got this
yeah,
wall of almost 7 footers, and nobody could get around it. Like
yeah.
that's one of the reasons they like. I mean, Pau Gasol was an amazing, well-early rounded player. It was a luxury to have, or Kevin Garnett. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I'd love to have a guy like that, or at least like even a Bogut, a good passing
I would
ball
take a
handling
Bogut,
center.
yeah, or Zaza Pachulia. Even I would take one of those type of guys.
Yeah,
The league is definitely looking at, and you can see it in college. Centers have to be able to shoot the ball, and even if you can shoot a 3-pointer, even better, because a true center is not what we look at anymore in the conventional way of NBA basketball. There's a lot of
no,
moving parts. If you look at Steve Kerr's offense, it is a form of the triangle offense. Not
right.
exactly, but it comes from that, and that means everybody's moving around the court, and
Yep.
that includes a center. So that center is not going to stand there in the middle of the paint and wait for a ball and dunk it anymore. It's not going to happen like that. You have to be able to move. That is the one knock I have on Trace Jackson Davis. If I have one, is he's not very fast, but he is effective. That being
In a good
said,
game.
we need that. We need a center that can move and can be,
Yeah. Well, and
yeah,
remember, Kerr also won a ring with the Spurs, I believe. And so
yep,
Popovich, he's not triangle, but his philosophy is similar to triangle, where it's like pass up a good shot for a better shot. And the Warriors at their peak, and Bogut was helpful in this, and Draymond loved him. Like Draymond and Bogut were so good together.
yeah.
Everybody on the court could pass,
Oh
and
yeah,
Bogut was a good passing center. And I like it's the high. I want a high IQ center. If Trace
yeah.
Jackson is high IQ, I don't care if he's a little slow. Because if he can pass up a good shot for a better one and get it to his teammate, that's what the Warriors need. They need the ball to zip around. I saw a little bit of it, but they weren't going in. But I saw a little bit of that Spurs, you know,
Uh-huh. You see
the
glimpses of
absolute
what
best
the
shot.
Warriors used to be. The
Yeah,
Warriors used to be the team where you move the ball around. Now, there's two issues. One, I don't see enough ball movement. But number two, even when the guy gets open, they're missing shots. So we need these guys to wake up or trade for a guy
yeah,
who can shoot on average. Schroeder came in and is kind of doing that. But you need more of that around the team. If Steph Curry's having a bad night like last night, you need everybody else to come out there, at least
yeah.
somebody to level up. You're not seeing that with the Warriors on a consistent basis. That's a problem. Last night, Moses Moody was out, Andrew Wiggins was out, Pajinski was out, Jonathan Kuminga was out, Gary Payton II was out. With all those guys out, this is a good win, even against the Pistons, because other guys stepped up. I mean, Santos was all over the place. I don't know how to describe why I haven't seen him come in with that energy at all during the season, but that energy was like, okay, let's go, some toughness. If I had to describe the Warriors team right now, it isn't the talent, it's softness. And I hate to use the word soft, but they're soft because their egos are bruised. They're when they lose a game, they get down in the dumps. They can't just move on, forget it, and get out on the court and play basketball with a toughness. They're getting bullied a lot of times. So there are some things that need to change with the way the Warriors play basketball if they want to turn this season around, and it can. But that move needs to be made. There's going to be a move. Trade deadline is next month on the 6th, I believe. I would
Yeah.
not be surprised if they bring in the center from the Bulls to, Vucevic, if I'm saying it right. I mess up his name every time.
I'll
But
look it up for
if
you.
but he is the guy that you would be looking at. You're not going to look at Jimmy Butler because what they demand for him is just way too high. It's ridiculous. If they bring in Jimmy Butler,
Vucevic, yeah.
it's gonna be because because Butler wants out and nobody else is offering anything, and the Warriors are gonna get the advantage on that deal. So yes,
Oh wow, this guy's great.
he is very good. He's a very
20
good
points and
player.
10 rebounds. There you go. There's my guy.
Yeah.
I would rather have that than Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
I think there's only one ball, and between Steph is. By the way, Steph's closing in on what 7,000 assists at some point. He's like in the 6,000s.
Yeah.
People forget like he only shoots. No, he averages like 6, 7 assists a game. It's just that Draymond's also very good, and there's only one ball. Jimmy Butler's a good ball handler. I would rather have this guy. I want a true center. I want a guy
Yeah.
who's just going to bully people. And get like I want it should not be hard to look at the stat sheet and see 10 rebounds. Like there's a ton of
No.
guys who can do it. 20
Yeah.
points, 10 rebounds, that'll be the guy that's going to be like, no, 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 not in, not in my house.
Right.
And a guy that could get who will feed it right to Curry or Draymond, and they can give it to other people after that. And that creates that movement. But what I was thinking last night when I was watching, and I'll be on full disclosure, I only really got to see the second half. But what I saw in the second half, what I was wondering is who's your secondary star when Curry has an off night? I
That's the
mean,
problem.
Wiggins is like a number three, and not because he's not good enough. He kind of likes to be a Swiss Army knife, as like articles I've read. It's not he doesn't want to be the guy. He wants to be whatever the night needs.
Yeah.
And you need a guy who like I want to be number two all the time.
Right. Well, and it can be a number two. If Wiggins
Yeah.
is number two, which he is on the Warriors, if that's your number two guy, you have an uphill battle you're facing in the NBA because that he is not a true number two. He's a good number three,
No.
and he's playing great ball. Don't get me wrong. His defense, his offense is
No,
great.
no,
He cannot be your number two guy.
no, and he doesn't want to be. Let him be a Swiss Army knife. He is a great Swiss Army knife. He wants to do whatever needs to be done,
Yeah.
which is fine. Like, I don't actually think he's a selfish player. I just think he's like, you have to use Wiggins properly. Wiggins is the reason they got that fourth championship.
Yeah.
Big, big reason. Because he
Yes.
played when he needed to get points, he would. When he needed to get rebounds, he would. When he needed to defend, he would.
Yeah.
He's just not the guy who's going to give you 20 every night, but he
Right.
could do it if it was the right call for him. I think he's more of that like Draymond. He's kind of like a Draymond where but with better scoring
Yeah.
and that he can be a little bit of everything so he can fit Kerr can move him
I agree
around.
with you to a certain extent. I don't think he can get 20 a night if that's what you demand of him and only that. If that was the case, I think they would.
No,
He's
no, no.
very
I'm not saying that.
sleazy when it comes to that. But yeah,
I'm saying on an occasion where it demands it, yes. Nightly, no.
no,
But
it does take
he
a little
has
bit for him to get up and get into a game that is required. And here's the thing about him that's great. If Curry is out, he does tend to take over that leadership role
yes.
and score. So especially this year. He is going back to the last time. Well, okay, so the last time he played like he did this year was in that championship year.
Yeah.
His father passed away last year, so I got to give him a pass on that because he was in and out of the season. He wasn't playing well, and people
Brutal.
were giving him a hard time and didn't know why. And then they found out later, oh, his dad died. So there was a reason for him not being there, and he just chose family over basketball for a year. And why
Correctly.
wouldn't you? You would do
Yeah.
that,
No.
most likely. So I think what we're seeing from Wiggins is what we will see going forward. I do believe that. So also, I wouldn't trade him. I don't think I would
Oh
trade
God,
him.
no. No.
So there's going to be somebody that's going to need to go, and I don't
Probably
know who that
Kaminga.
somebody is going to be. Kaminga, maybe he's injured right now, and for whatever the reason, I know the Warriors just aren't ready to give him up. I mean, it could be some other guys. It could be Looney. If you're going for a center, you could trade center for center, give him Looney, you give him Gary Payton Jr., which you may not want to do, or maybe Moody in a draft pick, and you get that guy. And that's the kind of thing where the Warriors are winning at that point in that trade. But this guy is somebody who's on the radar, and this is a guy that I mean, instinctively, I believe that's where they're going, and they're going to get him if they're going to trade for anybody. I think that's the guy, and it makes sense. So yeah, I mean, overall, I like where they're going. They got another game. It's a back-to-back, and they're on the road, so they got to go to Indiana and play the Pacers. Let's hope they can get another win. It's been win one, lose one, win one, lose one. They've been very much average 500 team. So let's see if they can get something rolling and get a win tonight. If they do, they'll be 20-18. That should move them up from the ninth spot, depending on how the Clippers and the Timberwolves do, even up to 8 or 7 after today. But I mean, the number 4 team is Denver, and they're 21-15. The Warriors are 11 and a half out. The Denver Nuggets are 9 out. It's a 2.5 game difference between number 9 spot and the number 4 spot in the entire conference. So they're very much alive in this, even though people might want to talk about how bad of a team they are right now or how very average they are. They are, but a lot of time to move up and make some noise. So I wouldn't count them out quite yet. The move needs to be made. There needs to be a move.
Yeah, I think center. I
Yep.
think that would be more interesting to me because I think a lot of the other options, like I like Jimmy Butler. I've always been a Jimmy Butler fan, but he's like a 25-5 guy, and we already have, two very good, point guards in Steph Curry and essentially, being a point guard forward in Draymond Green. I,
Yeah.
I want them to have good passing skills for their position, but I just look at the stats and it's just like, can't we have somebody who gets a monster 12, 15 rebound night? Like, can't
Yeah,
we just
that's
have
that's
somebody who just gives
lacking.
everything
I
up?
mean, I have been a proponent of small ball, quick passes moving. I have not thought about the Warriors and needing a big man for a while. In fact, I thought we needed more shooting, more scoring, maybe get somebody that can do that because our defense was so good this year. But the more I look at this, the more I'm starting to like concede that yes, a center would be nice. Having a center would be nice. The
Look
teams
at them
are
with Bogut,
daring the Warriors to go inside.
Yeah.
They're daring them. If you watch
Yeah.
the way that other teams are playing defense against the Warriors, that court, the key, the middle of the court is pretty much empty because they're basically guarding the 3-point line all the way around and daring
Yeah.
the Warriors to drive because they know they can't. So
Yep. Yeah. I would like a true center with some good passing, but really, like, I would even settle for 10 and 10 or 15 and 10, like that kind of a person. This guy's 20 and 10. The Bulls got to be a luxury. That would be awesome.
yeah,
That would just be like, now we're making it out of the first round for sure, with a guy like that. Because
yeah.
a guy doesn't need to have the ball. Like, you have enough. Lynn Schroeder, also, probably a decent, I don't know his stats, but he's a point guard, right? So he's got to be decent at assists. Like, I would,
He's doing well with assists. He's doing well with taking care of the ball and not turning it over much, which is a huge thing for the Warriors. They turn the ball over like crazy. It's driving me crazy anyway.
yeah,
Uh,
he's 6 assists a
so
game. You don't,
yeah,
you don't need any more ball handlers. You've got
I mean he's
him
got
at
13
six.
points last game. I haven't seen him really have a breakout game yet where he's well. Let's see what he's only been on the team for so long. I like him as a player. I'd like to see him score more than 13 a game on an average. I'd say that's probably his average right now. I'd like to see him get closer to 20. That would be much better. But overall, good move. It was a good move. They didn't have to
Yeah.
give up much for him. So yeah,
No, Schroeder's like six. I was just checking the box score a second. He had 6 assists. Curry had 6 assists. I mean, and it also probably frees Draymond up. I mean, because Draymond can assist he has lots of assists, but
yeah.
that's probably why he had 3 blocks because it's not probably only his primary responsibility. Schroeder having, not just that he can score, but he also is like a 6 assist a game average. It's really nice.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really,
good, and it does free Draymond up a little bit.
absolutely.
As long as Steve and now I don't want to like talk too much about Steve Kerr and his play calling and more or less his rotations, not just the play calling, but the rotations. He does like to get a little bit too cute with rotations, and he switched up the starting rotation quite a few times this year, and you can't really allow a rotation to gel unless you let them play together for more than 2 or 3 games. It seems like after 2 or 3 games, he's constantly trying to figure out which rotation works the best. Well, none of them are going to work the best if you don't give them enough time to play together. So I feel like he might like ease up on that and keep a starting rotation together for a little bit to see how that goes because I mean that's what's needed right now as well. So if I had anything bad to say about Kerr, which I don't, that I mean that would be the only criticism maybe is that he plays with the rotations quite a bit, and I think the players are kind of feeling that like it's like am I starting, am I not, am I coming off the bench? Mentally prepare for where you're at, and so let's see if that changes a little bit, but guys, I think this is pretty much all the time we have for today. Please tune in next Monday. We're going to be talking Niners again. We'll have some things to talk about. I am positive. Warriors tonight at 4 o'clock. I'll see if I can get another podcast cast in on the weekend just because the Warriors are playing tonight. I can't guarantee it, but We will try and hit the like and hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification. It'll tell you when another podcast is on. But otherwise, catch us back here 11:30 Monday for Niner Talk. Thank you, Alex, for being here again. Alex will be around on the podcast from now on when he can be, which is hopefully every podcast. And we got a new co-host. So thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.